All right, so the next exercise is working a C curve or creating a C curve in the spine from a seated position. So you can choose to work with something between the knees to help you engage those deep abdominals a little more. That's your choice. What I'd like you to do is be able to find an upright seated position. So you're right on your sitting bones. You're stacked directly on the sitting bones. Now, Gloria is fairly flexible, as we've come to find out, so her feet are pretty close to her hips. For most of us, the legs might need to be a little further away, and then sit forward right over your hips, just to give yourself a little more space. Okay, you're going to take the hands behind the thighs, just to give you a little support. Here's your primary focus. As you curl the spine back, your goal is to not collapse into the spine. So try not to decrease the distance between the sternum and the pelvis. So we're going to watch these guys do it how most of us do it in the beginning. So you have a sense of if this is also what you're doing, and we can work to refine it. So take a breath, inhale. And what I want you guys to do is pull the waist back and really just kind of sink and sag into the spine. Yeah. And Gloria, bring your head forward a little bit. Yeah, chin forward. So what often will happen is that the chin will drop forward, the head will thrust forward, and there's a real deep compression or shortening in the front of the vertebra. Yeah, it's no bueno. Go ahead and come on up, sit up tall. So what we're trying to do is find the place where the head can continue to float on top of the spine without any tension, and we're trying to maintain some space between the vertebra as we flex the spine slightly. You're going to simply take that pelvic curl that you worked on before and incorporate it into initiating this exercise. So take a breath in, ribs wide, and as you exhale, give the ball or block a little squeeze, and then draw that deep waist back and feel the pelvis tip back like a wheel. Yeah. And what happens is the chin nods a little bit and the sternum softens, and pause there so that your weight is just shifting behind the sit bones. Take an inhale, and let's go ahead and exhale to restack the spine. So from the C curve, I like to restack from the movement of the pelvis. So let's see that again. Inhale and exhale, squeeze. You're trying to go into that deep abdominal contraction. You're tipping the pelvis back, feeling the curl of the tail come forward. Stop just when you get the weight shifted behind the sitting bones. Inhale to take the pause, and then exhale, go ahead and float the head and heart. Feel the pelvis tip back to where you began. So you're restacking on top of the sit bones. Let's try that again. Inhale and exhale, squeeze. They both let their chin naturally nod, so the head is moving easily and there's no tension in the neck. And you can see Gloria goes a little further, but they're both achieving the same thing. Looks a little different because their spines are moving or do move differently. And then inhale from there, and then exhale as you restack. It's like building blocks, pelvis at the bottom and restacking the vertebra all the way up to the top of the head. We'll do two more like this. Inhale and exhale, squeeze the block, deepen the wet belly, draw the pelvis back, and feel the waist begin to really narrow right to left, front to back. Weight is behind the butt bones. Inhale from here, and then exhale as you restack the spine. Good. So that's your simple C curve from seated. So we're going to take this and you can add on to this to do a rollback, a seated rollback, which is basically a modified version of the full roll-up exercise. So Gloria, scoop forward just a little bit. And Jeff, go ahead and scoop forward as well. Now, take this as far as you can go. What you want to be mindful of is that you're not working to a place where you start to feel pain in the low back, or strain in the low back, or strain in the neck. You also don't want to get to a place where you have to lurch or oomph yourself back up. So what you're going to do is work from this seated position and work your way gradually down to the place that's the hardest for you to manage or sustain, and then come back from there. Yeah, so we'll take it in 3 increments for these guys, and then you can follow us, and then you can explore this a little bit more on your own depending on where you can go. So take a breath in. This starts just like the C curve, and then as you exhale, squeeze a little through the block, pull the waist back, feel the chin nod gently, Go ahead and stop in that moment where you've reached your C curve. So we've established this position already. Take another inhale, re-squeeze and sink the waist. Feel the tailbone continue to pull back, and see if right here you can take a pause. You may or may not be drawing your sacrum, the flat part of that lower spine, or the back of the pelvis into the mat at this point. You want to continue to curl the pelvis. So think of your pelvis as a wheel. So you're initiating from that curling of the tailbone forward and up. Inhale from here, exhale, see if you can go. This is our third step. So these guys are quite a ways back. And if you look at Jeff, he's doing a really great job of drawing the legs back with him, so your heels will actually move. And that's appropriate because you want your legs to draw back into the pelvis. These guys are working hard. Take another breath, and then if you can, you'd come down to either the tip of the shoulder blades or all the way down. Let's have these guys come all the way down. Watch your head there. Take an inhale, the arms do come away from the thighs. Exhale, you start with your deep abdominal curl. Head nods, chin to chest, sternum softens. You reach for your thighs. Take a pause there. Right when you get past your shoulder blades, you're going to start to feel like this is really hard. Inhale, and deepen the abdominals. Squeeze the block a little more and see if you can feel the low back press into the mat. And then inhale again, and exhale. Go ahead and continue to come up. Now that's really the full version of the roll down. You can stop, and you should stop at any place along the way where you start to feel like you're working really hard, and then come back from there. So let's do it again, and let's work just halfway down and halfway up. We'll flow through it a couple of times, and you can join us. So inhale, exhale, squeeze the block, pull the waist back. Feel the head nod, the chin nods gently, the sternum is soft, and you're using your hands to any degree that you need to, but don't scrunch up the shoulders. Take a pause here, both of you. Inhale, and draw the pelvis back. Curl it back a little more deeply, allowing the leg bones really to be suctioned back into the hips. Take an inhale, and now as you exhale, squeeze the blocker ball and curl yourself over, and then restack the spine at the top. Now we're taking this ending a little differently. They're curling forward and then restacking, which is the appropriate coming up for this exercise. So again, inhale and exhale, squeeze the blocker ball, pull the waist back, feel the sternum drop, and then go to that halfway point. Notice how your low back is feeling, if your hips are gripping, if your neck is tensing. See if you can soften all those areas that don't need to work. Inhale here, exhale, deepen the abdominals, sink the waist. Great, squeeze, round back over your hips, and then restack the spine. All right, one more time for good measure. Inhale and exhale, pull the waist back. Trying to maintain that length of the spine. Come to that challenge spot. If it's right over the sacrum, let's have Gloria go a little further. Jeff, tip the pelvis back a little bit more. So I'm challenging him to work into a place that I know is really difficult to sustain. Take a breath in, and then exhale as you curl, and then sit up nice and tall. Restack the spine. Good. And those are your seated roll downs. Okay, so I'm going to just say a little something, just a little precaution about that real quick. So when you work into the roll downs from a seated position, if you have any specific low back injuries, bulging or herniated discs, you really need to consult a teacher before doing this exercise. Really looking at whether it's an immediate injury or something that you need to, if you're currently having pain with, please take this out of the fundamentals repertoire for the moment until you can get some very specific feedback. That way we can keep you safe and determine whether this is the right exercise for you.